been about 4 months since I upgraded my laptop to one of the new M1 Max MacBook Pros. Now, I've enjoyed it, but I also wanted to switch over to the dark side again for a bit and talk about how the experience differs between powerful Apple Silicon MacBooks and RTX Windows laptops. I've been building custom desktop PCs while using a MacBook as my laptop of choice for the last decade, but I haven't used a Windows laptop as my daily driver since the Dell Latitude days of 2008. So Tim, if you're watching this, please don't unfriend me on Game Center. I promise I won't let Bill keep me away from you.
You.
The Windows laptop I switched to is a Lenovo Legion 7 with Ryzen 5900HX CPU and an RTX 3080 GPU. It's actually a really solid laptop, so I might make a video on it soon. It is also technically outdated now as well, due to the announcement and the subsequent release of the new Ryzen and Intel chips and TI version of the GPUs. But that also means you can get this particular Legion for a great price right now. So my first experience when switching to the Legion was a little bit jarring, to be honest, and that's because the Legion ships with Windows 11, and this is the first time I've actually ever used Windows 11. And boy, does it kind of look and feel a lot like macOS. We've got the central dock right in the middle now. The settings and control panel is simplified and more minimal, just like system preferences on macOS. And the overall feel of the operating system is just more minimal and stylish compared to Windows 10. I also really appreciate the little things when going back to Windows from macOS. Windows snapping is built in by default and just works so well. File Explorer is just preferable to Finder, and external monitor support is much better. I often get a lot of little glitches or weird annoyances when using my MacBook with an external monitor, and no matter what I do, my app windows always resize each time I disconnect and reconnect. Also, macOS just really seems to suck when it comes to a lot of network related stuff. So I have a NAS at home, and I constantly seem to run into issues when accessing it on the network with my MacBook. Sometimes I just can't access it at all, or I have to restart the MacBook, or currently I can view files on the NAS, but the MacBook completely freezes if I try to download files to my desktop. On Windows though, no issues connecting to my NAS, even when switching between a local network, Wi-Fi, or 10 gig SFP plus connection. It just works, and I thought that was supposed to be Apple's slogan. Also, if you like the wallpapers I used in this video, they are available on our website and are linked down below. Now, moving on to something I think that the MacBook does better than the Windows laptop, and that is just being a laptop. Let me explain. Physically, they're about the same size and weight. Sure, the Windows laptop is chunkier and has a bigger charger, but they're both huge 16-inch laptops, so minor size differences isn't really a big deal for me. But something I've really come to appreciate about Apple Silicon MacBooks in particular is the battery life and, more importantly, performance on battery. If you want any kind of RTX laptop, the battery is almost always pretty shocking. You're lucky to get 6 to 8 hours of light emails and YouTube videos before the battery runs out. I found myself constantly tied to the charger to keep the battery charged, and this becomes a massive pain in the ass if you're someone like me who likes to use your laptop all over the house, for example. And this brings me to my second point. You need to be attached to the charger to get full performance from the RTX laptop. Typically, I wouldn't be bothered by this, but a few months ago, I stopped doing all of my intensive tasks like rendering or editing on my desktop PC and instead moved to a laptop. And I can now do intensive tasks anywhere, on the couch, standing in the kitchen waiting for food to cook, or in a car or a plane. There's also the added bonus of almost no heat or fan noise as well. So let's talk about a relatively unknown topic when it comes to comparing Windows laptops and MacBooks, and that is the pricing and resale value differences between the two. Firstly, I think overall the pricing of powerful Windows laptops is typically more competitive than MacBooks. You can just get more for less money. But on the flip side, Windows laptops also seem to depreciate in price much faster than MacBooks. So using my Legion 7 as an example, this was released around July 2021. And just a few months later, new CPUs and GPUs were announced, and resale value dropped sharply. I expect in a few more months, Lenovo will update the Legion 7, and resale value will drop even further. And this is on a laptop that isn't even 12 months old yet. Also, most Windows laptops are refreshed every single year, where the MacBook refresh cycle is typically every 2 to 3 years. And even worse, some Windows laptop manufacturers update their models at the start of the year, while other brands, such as Lenovo for example, tend to do it later on in the year, around June, July, or sometimes even later than that. So by the time the laptop you like most is refreshed and you buy the new one, a new generation is almost always right around the corner, just a few months away. Now, this doesn't seem to be as big of a problem for MacBooks, and they typically keep their resale value for longer due to the longer Apple upgrade cycles. And I'm sure other factors come into this phenomenon, like perhaps people viewing the quality of Windows laptops as inferior to MacBooks, or perhaps Apple products have this premium aura around them. But I definitely think the upgrade and refresh cycle plays a significant part. Okay, so how about the overall experience? If I had to choose one, I would probably go with the MacBook, but there's just so many frustrating things about both platforms that sometimes I wish we could just merge the two and make one super laptop. I think this is worse in my situation, as my workflow benefits massively from certain optimizations, such as the video encoders on the M1 Max MacBook, or the CUDA and ray tracing cores on a RTX laptop. Just one platform can't support and be fully optimized for my entire workflow, so I have to make massive sacrifices in certain areas. For example, I want to game with decent FPS, and have powerful 3D rendering capability. But I also want the smooth video editing experience, battery life, and efficiency of a MacBook. Or I want the software compatibility of the Windows operating system for many niche programs I run, but I also enjoy the closed-off ecosystem of macOS for stability, ease of use, and privacy. You also get really cool features on Windows laptops that you just never see and will never see on Apple MacBooks. For example, a hardware switch to turn the webcam on and off. But on the flip side, again, the MacBook has Thunderbolt and MagSafe. I think that generally the choice between either system is easy for many, but for someone like me who sees specific workflow boosts from both systems, it's a much more difficult decision. That being said, we're in a new era of laptops at the moment. For example, we've seen how powerful and efficient Apple Silicon can be. We've also seen a massive jump in performance from Intel 11th gen and 12th gen, something we've never seen before from Intel. So who knows, we might be getting closer and closer to that perfect laptop. But apart from that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.